What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty, and it's time to get into the final round wrap-up of the season. Well, not really, but like home and away season-wise, this is the final wrap-up of the home and away season. Round 23 just ended. Let's take a look at the ladder. Top 8 as it stands. Sydney, Geelong, Hawthorn, GWS, Adelaide, West Coast, the Dogs, and North Melbourne. We're going to do a little finals sneak peek at the end of the video. And then we have a look at St Kilda, just missing out on percentage in that top 8. Port Adelaide, Melbourne, Collingwood, Richmond, Carlton, and Gold Coast, Fremantle, Brisbane, and Essendon are the bottom 4 teams for the year. You know, some sides would be disappointed with their efforts of this season. Some sides would be pleased in that bottom 10, but I feel like there was really only 8 teams this season that stood out. Maybe 7 after North Melbourne, sort of fell off a cliff after their 9-0 start. So let's take a look at the top 8 v top 8 now, because that's pretty much shaped this top 8 as it stands. If you won 5 games, you're in the top 4. If you won less than that, you did not make the top 4. So as you could see, Geelong, Hawthorn, Sydney, and GWS, the top 4 teams here in that top 8 v top 8. And guess what? They're the top 4 teams on the ladder, because I think this was the most dominant top 8 ever. They won like 95% of games against the bottom 10 sides. So very crazy stats there. And these games were the only real ones that mattered kind of throughout the season. But let's look at Friday night now. Let's go back to Friday night and what really just kick-started the havoc that went on the weekend. So West Coast knocked over Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. 29-point winners. Kennedy won himself the Coleman with 5 goals. And they looked sensational, the Eagles. I mean, Adelaide, they had the problem of their forwards not kicking goals. And if you take a look at Hawthorn and how they've been so successful the last few seasons, they don't really have too many midfielders that kick goals. Their forwards kick the goals. Gunston, Bruce, Rioli, Puopolo, Roughhead, those were the guys that kicked the goals. Saw it for Adelaide on the weekend. I think Betts had 1 goal, Jenkins had 1 goal, and Walker didn't kick any. So that's a real problem for them. If those guys can't fire, they need their midfield to pick up the pieces, and they didn't do that on the weekend. Granted, the entries inside forward 50 were pretty rubbish, and McGovern could just mark at will for the Eagles back there, and they look solid now, the Eagles. Last 3 weeks, they've settled. They've knocked over the Giants away. They then beat Hawthorn at home, and now another side away in the Adelaide Crows. 3 back-to-back wins over top 8 teams coming into the finals. They are primed and ready. Moving on, we had the next game of, I think, Richmond. No, it was Geelong. They destroyed Melbourne, got themselves into 2nd position on the ladder with this win of 110 or 111 points. I don't think it would have mattered what the percentage was in the end, given that Adelaide actually lost that match. But Geelong, very good as well, looking impressive going into the finals. Hawkins kicked 6, Menzel kicked 4, and Menegola was pretty good as well. Kicked the 3 and had the 27 touches. I think Dangerfield kicked a couple as well and had 32. So they're just waiting for finals now, Geelong. They got out of the match unscathed, and now they can prepare for the big leagues. Now Essendon almost got themselves off the bottom of the ladder with this win. 4-goal win over the Blues. Carlton kicked 3 or 4 junk time goals, which if they didn't, Essendon would have actually got off the bottom of the ladder. So they can probably thank Carlton for kicking those late goals because now they get their first round pick in both the preseason draft and the draft. So crazy things for them. Danaher kicked 5, including a couple outside 50 monsters that were superb to witness. Tip and Woody kicked 4. Langford was very good as well, kicked 3 in the opening half, and then it was pretty good. Zach Merritt had 34 touches, but he didn't get in the All-Australian team. I just realised that today. Didn't get in the All-Australian team. I was so disappointed. I was like, oh, not the team, but even the squad, which kind of sucked. I was like, oh, that's shitty as. And for the Blues, they were disappointing. Way to end the season. Just beat Melbourne last week. Couldn't back it up this week. They'll improve for next year. But Essendon, I think, is probably going to be the big improver next year. They're definitely going to jump well off the bottom of the ladder next year. You'd think anyway. But let's keep going. Twilight Sydney smashed Richmond. Enough said about that game. Buddy kicked 7. McLean kicked 5. Rowan kicked 4. The Swans they're in very different places here, these two clubs. The Swans sitting in first position, ready for a final series. The Tigers, they're in 13th. Looking for next year, but still a pretty woeful performance from their end of the ground. Now, keep going. We got Port Adelaide, and they beat the Gold Coast by 23 points in the end there. Robbie Gray was outstandingly superb as, well, not as always, but pretty much most of the time you can expect this from him. 4 goals, 34 touches. He just knows what to do with it. And for the Gold Coast Suns, Fiorini was very good. He kicked 2 goals, had 32 touches. From all reports, he's going to be a very good player of the game. So, didn't watch the game, but from what I've heard, he is a very good player. So watch out for him in the preseason and for next year. Let's take a look at the final Coleman Medal results. Kennedy kicked 80 goals to win the game. Well, 8 to win the Coleman, to win the medal. Buddy kicked 74. I was hoping he'd kick 14 on the weekend just so you could pip Kennedy. But he ended with 74. Betts and Lynch, 66 each. Jenkins with 60. Hawkins on 52. Cameron, 49 after missing the first 4 rounds of the season, I might add. And then kicking 7 on his first game back. Rewalt and Gunston with 48 each. And Membry and Rioli on 44 each. So all those people, 2 goals plus average for the season. Let's keep going. We had North Melbourne, and they lost to GWS, who secured themselves a top 4 position. North Melbourne are going into this final series with back-to-back losses. So 4 losses in a row for North Melbourne. Not a good way to start a final series. Getting rid of 4 superstars. All the 4s are lining up for them. They're going to be the first team knocked out of the finals, I'd think, anyway, on Saturday night. Oh, they'll be the last team knocked out of the finals. Oh, because the first Elim finals on Thursday. Anyway, we'll get into that in a sec. The Giants, very good. John O'Patton has been a superstar. He has come alive in the last month of football, and he looks like he's going to be a big brute force player come the final series. 6 goals last week, 5 goals this week. If he does it in the finals, watch out for the Giants. They've still got Cameron there. They've still got Devon Smith. They've still got Stevie J. They've still got an entire array of midfielders that love to kick goals. Ward, Shield, Canelio, Kelly, Scully. It's going to be amazing to witness this Giants side, and I think they're going to be very difficult to beat in this final series, even against the Sydney Swans. Next game, Brisbane almost won the wooden spoon, but scored 103 points, so they managed to avoid it. Nick Rewalt came 3rd, I think, in the all-time marks ever, equaling Matty Richo's game of 22 marks in a match for a key forward, and getting 9 goals as well. Just having a nice day out. 9 goals, 22 marks, 26 touches. Not a bad day for Nicky Rewalt there. Walker for the Lions kicked 3, and their coach just got sacked today. So Lepper is out. Don't know who's going to come in. Don't know who the contenders are at the moment. I think it's Johnny Barker's one of them. There's a guy from Adelaide. There's a guy from the Dogs, Stewie Dew from the Swans, or Brent Montgomery from the Dogs. You just never know who they're going to pick as the next coach, but the AFL are definitely going to have a big say in what happens next. Now, this was also a chaotic game. Hawthorn and Collingwood on Sunday afternoon decided everything in the finals. A win for Hawthorn shifted the balance one way. A loss for Hawthorn shifted the balance another way. Collingwood, 1 point short, although for whatever reason they've got 1 more behind than Hawthorn in my thing. I'm pretty sure they kicked 17-9, 111 to 17-10, 112. Get around Jack Fitzpatrick. Fitzy, superstar out of the middle. First game for the Hawks. Just comes out, kicks a casual goal from the centre square to win the game pretty much, and put his team even with a minute to go for the Hawks. So, Fitzy, you are a superstar. Rep the locals and get around him. Jack Fitzpatrick, very nice stuff there. And yeah, the Collingwood would be disappointed that they lost that game. Buckley was talking to them out on the field after the game, and I think he probably would have been saying, that's the effort and intensity we need to bring every week to every match next season to match it with the big guys, because we know we can match it with them. We just fell short in the end, but that's what you've got to bring, at least that effort and that level of footy. So hopefully Collingwood are on the rise next year. Or maybe not everyone wants Collingwood to be on the rise, but for their sake, you'd want them to improve next season in the competition. So definitely good performance from them. And we look at the final game of the round, Matthew Pavlich retiring match, send-off match. don't know what to call it. 20-point win to the Dockers. They beat the Bulldogs, who are, not looking a bit shaky going in the final series. Pavlich kicked 1 goal, took him to 700 goals for his career. 3 behinds as well in the end there, just missed a few shots in that final term. Lachie Neale got an All-Australian nomination, had 36 disposals. I think he broke the disposal record as well for the all-time disposal records. And the Dockers, they good to see the crowd. The crowd stayed around. Great scenes at the end of the match, especially considering North Melbourne had 20,000 people go to their match to farewell 4 blokes, and Fremantle had, the full house pretty much to farewell one guy who is their greatest player ever, Matthew Pavlich. Superstar effort. The Dogs, once again, they fail in round 23 or in the last round of the season. They lost to Brisbane in round 23 last year. So they would, they'd want a better preparation, I think, going into the finals. So definitely something that they need to look at for maybe next season if they are going into the finals and they do have that, drop off in that last week, which is exactly what happened last season. So definitely want to improve the Western Bulldogs. Now, that's it. That's it for the home and away season. I thought there was another game. The finals have been revealed. Have a look at them. Domain Stadium, Thursday night, 7 or 8:10, I think, local time. Or no, 6:10 local time. West Coast and the Western Bulldogs, the second elimination final there going down. And then you've got the second qualifying final at the MCG Friday night. Geelong versus Hawthorn. What a match. What a big match that is going to be. And then on Saturday afternoon, the Sydney Swans against the Greater Western Sydney Giants. The Giants' first final level happens to be in Sydney against their biggest rival, their crosstown rival, the Sydney Swans. I love the theatre of it. That's going to be an insane game to watch. And then the Adelaide Crows are playing North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval in the first elimination final on Saturday night. It's going to be spectacular. I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. But before I leave, I want to let you know that on Friday this week, I'm going to be doing a wash-up or sort of season wrap-up for the bottom 5 teams. And then Monday next week, I'm going to be doing a season wrap-up for the the next 5 teams in that bottom 10, sort of just to keep you guys in the footy knowledge or in footy news of what I'm doing anyway. But thank you so much for watching. Leave a big thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you all later.